Anyway, my name is W.C. Filmore. I'm just a fan of fiction. Somebody who's always wanted to write and decided I can do it if anybody else can. I was able to get a book published and through a boutique publisher, and things didn't go exactly the way I wanted. So I decided to do it myself. So I took charge, did a little studying, found out how to produce your covers, how to write it from beginning to end, edit, and format your books. And I put out my own novels. I've been doing pretty good so far. So that's basically my story.
Did you do it through Amazon?
Yes, I did. Matter of fact, I did a little advertisement on this one right here, where I had to go through this and revamp it a couple of times. But I had a free giveaway for one day and ended up with 2,000 downloads.
So that's something different. You hadn't done that in the past.
I did it before, but I didn't get numbers like that. I got like a couple of hundred.
Who does your covers?
I have a place called Get Covers, and they do all my covers.
Okay, getcovers.com.
Getcovers.com, yes.
And then you talk to people from all over the world, or how does that work?
Well, Getcovers.com does, what I do is I go ahead and make a mock drawing of what I would like, and then they take it and they add in the font.
Ladies, you're on stage, please. Ladies on stage.
They add in the font and everything, and then I approve it. So it's a process, but it can be done by
all this is done on the internet?
Excuse me?
Everything's done, even the people that you speak to overseas?
Yes. I do a lot of my stuff through Fiverr. I also do it myself. And I use different programs, Pro Writing Aid, and Amazon.
Now, I want you guys to be specific when I come to you, right? Now, I don't know what Fiverr is.
Oh, Fiverr is
No. Just let me be specific first. When you say things, I use Fiverr.
Okay.
Fiverr is, right? So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Fiverr is an organization that does outwork. What they do is you can go to Fiverr and they'll do your publishing, they'll do your editing, they'll do your marketing. You can pay them different people to help you put your book together.
And so, when you do that, how do you get the back and forth?
Just through emails. You go online, you click into that particular site, and then you hook up with what they call a worker, and you go back and forth what you want, because they have different markets, and so you go in. If I want something for marketing, there's a list of marketers who will help me, pinpoint what kind of marketing I'm doing. If I want a cover maker, I can talk to several different cover makers, and I'll kind of like look at their work to determine, because my stuff's dark fantasy. So I was looking for somebody. I wasn't looking for somebody with love covers or romantic covers. I needed something a little darker. So you go in and you pick out the person you want to work with. You contact them. They contact you back. And then you determine the project you want to do and the cost of the project.
Do you have language barriers when you are dealing with people on the internet from other places?
Yeah, because there was a lot of them from like Istanbul and India, and I did a good one, a really nice formatting project through somebody that was in Germany. And she didn't get the gist of certain words and stuff. So I had to kind of like go back and forth. But we got it worked out. And she gave me a great formatting for my books. She made it look really, really dark fantasy, just what I was looking for.
And so this is what I want everyone to know. There's so many different ways to get your book done. Don't stand in line and say, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Do the research. There's so many other ways. Thank you, Mr. Filmore. Ms. Janice Kearney, now I know that you had a journey for publishing, and you ended up being a publisher. So tell us about that yellow brick road that you went down.
Yes, I'm an accidental publisher. I had no intentions of publishing my own books. I was very lucky that an agent from a mainstream company read my manuscript and loved it and wanted to handle my book. But the problem was that she told me she couldn't handle it right away. She could not guarantee me that it would be published within the next 2 years, because she also had another book she was dealing with that sounded something like mine, and she didn't want to put 2 books out at the same time. So when she told me that, I had to tell her thanks but no thanks, because my book is a personal memoir that I call a love letter to my parents and my father, who was a widower at that time. My father was 98 years old, and I said, there's no way I'm gonna wait 2 years to publish my book. So I went home and talked to my husband, and we agreed that I would publish my book. Now, I am very realistic that I think I'm a pretty good writer, but that's it. So when I became a publisher, I had to make sure that I had people that could help me publish my book. So I identified a very good editor. I had identified a very good illustrator, book designer, marketing person, and together we created a company, a small company, and we were able to publish my book within a year's time after it was completed. So I guess if I had to make any suggestion to someone who's thinking about publishing their own books, it is, don't try to do it all alone. None of us can do everything. If you have a strength, lean on that strength, but find someone else to do the things that you can't do. We cannot edit our own books. Some of us are pretty good in illustrating, but you're always better off if you can identify what it is you can do best and you find someone else to do the things that you can't do very well. Fiverr, that Mr. Filmore talked about, is really a great resource for small publishers because they do just about everything. They can do the editing, they can do the illustrations, they can do book covers, they can do the book design and the layout. I have used them before, and there is that problem with the language difference, but you usually can work through that.
Do you ever think, really I should use somebody in the United States? Is that ever kind of
And some of them
cross your mind?
are. I would say most of them probably are in the United States, but you may end up with someone who does an amazing book design and they're not from the United States, so you have to do that balance.
In writing your books, you have very central books, central to a location.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a problem when you're using Fiverr or another agent like that? Them knowing the area, do you have that when you talk? Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I would say most, I've used Fiverr probably about 3 times, and I would say 2 of the contractors, that's what I'll call them, were Americans, so I didn't have a problem, but one person was from another country, so they knew nothing about, Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, or the people that I was writing about. So they get an education from me, and they do the work that I need.
And who does your covers?
I have had them to do one of my covers, but I actually have someone in Ohio that does most of my covers.
authors.
And can you share, I mean, this is a shared information,
Sure.
so.
I can't give you their information right
Okay.
now, but I can definitely email it to you.
Okay.
And you can share it with anyone.
Because we want to be able to build a base.
Right.
Of people that people have already used.
Right.
And vetted for their material, right?
I will absolutely share that.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And Dr. Bethune, we've been down there Alice's hole together, looking up, wondering how we got there, looking at the Ace of Spades, right? Through this journey of writing. So tell me about your journey as a publisher and an author.
Like many authors who have publishing companies, we started out as authors. Our intention was to just write our book, and we went down the rabbit hole and probably could not almost find our way out. And so we decided that we are intellectually sound and we had skills and we could do something better. And I happened to discover that I had a knack for publishing books. And I like it. I like the interaction with the authors. I like the stories. And I like helping authors bring their vision to reality and getting whatever is in their head or on that notebook, on those 10,000 pieces of paper that they have scribbled stuff on. And people bring me stuff that's handwritten, that they've had manuscripts for years. And then I have to tell them, sadly, that we're in a digital world. And it's going to take a minute to get their things transcribed and into digital format so that it can be made into whatever they have in their mind. However, we are in a marvelous world of technology. And this world, you will either embrace it or get run over by it. And I've decided to embrace it. And so I have connected myself with a group. It's Black CEOs. And that group has everything that entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs in particular, need. Resources, technology, graphics club, tech club, CRM that does my email, my social media posts. It is that spot that makes it easy to be a small business owner, because you can do what you do, but you cannot do everything. And so in utilizing and running my publishing company, I have access to graphic artists. I have access to editors and layout design people, and people to help my authors get their marketing and advertising pieces in place. Because once you write your book, somebody has to know that you wrote it. And what generally happens, people write their book, and then they end up with 500 copies in their garage or taking up space somewhere because they don't know how to get it out there. And because you are on Amazon, because you are on Barnes & Noble, Books A Million site, nobody cares. If you don't tell them you're there, nobody knows you're there. And so you have to do something to help people know that you are there. And you have to get out of your house and do book fairs and speaking engagements and take your product with you so that people have access to it. That's the world that we live in, because they're not going to knock on your door and ask you for your book. And so this cover design, I did this.
Wow.
I did this using Midjourney and learning how to use AI technology. And so people think AI is the devil. It's not. The devil might be using it. However, it's also open to the angelics. Anybody can use it. And it's like money, just because you have money doesn't make you evil. And so AI technology is something that we as melanated people have got to get a handle on and understand it and get into it and utilize it, because it's not going to go away. And that's where our young people are. So if we want to reach our young people, we have got to grasp the use of technology for printing, for publishing, for getting information out, for TikToking, for all of those things, because we want to engage and teach our young people. And they are not going back to pen and paper. It's not going to happen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bethune. Thank you very much. I have a couple of clients here who are budding authors. They're sitting at that table right there. So they're looking at you, really needing and wanting information. So any other budding authors in the room that haven't written a book yet? So this is information that if you had to pay for, it would cost you a lot of money. So listen intently. And so, Miss L.D. Robinson, if you have seen everything that came out of F.R.E.S.H book, give her a round of applause. She is the lady who does www.freshbookfestivals.net and all the posters and all the promos. She is the lady. I'm going to put her up a notch, and then I'm going to take her down a notch, because I don't want everybody to use her, because then I won't be able to use her. You know, I turned her on to a friend of mine, Dante Productions, and now I can't get any time because of him. But what a fabulous job you do. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, give her a round of applause, everybody. And so I know you read erotica because you read mine. So
Yes.
I'm telling the truth.
Yes.
And you write romance. You're also a publisher. Tell me why it is you decided to start publishing your own books, and why you decided to write under another name.
Well, my first book came out of a conversation. Some of you may have heard this story before. Came out of a conversation I was having with my cousin. She was visiting me in San Diego, and we were talking about multicultural relationships. And I asked her if she would date someone outside of, our Black culture, and she said if he were hot. And I said, oh, hot enough to melt chocolate, or
I have that shirt.
some kind of way it went that way. And so I started writing that book, and I wrote like the first 6 chapters, and it sat for probably about 6 or 7 years. And I happened to attend, I won't say happened, because I was meant to be at that particular workshop, and it was hosted by Angie B at that time. And it was a business workshop, and there was an older woman there. She had to be like in her late 60s. And she had written I said older woman.
She was 30 at the time, so.
At the time. So she had just published her very first book. And it was a children's book, an illustrated children's book. And I was there for, my company, my consulting company. And I watched her, and I was like, man, if she could do this book like at her age, surely. And it wasn't that. She was a very vibrant woman. But I'm thinking she's still pursuing her dream at 60, almost 70, maybe 72 years old. Why can't I finish this book? And I literally went back home and locked myself up for a week and finished the rest of that book. When I got ready to publish it, I started looking at I knew nothing about publishing. I had just been a reader all my life. And as I started looking up how to publish that book, I discovered there were many, many, many flavors of publishing. And a lot of those came with a lot of zeros and commas and zeros. And I decided I would pursue how to publish it myself. And really just felt led that a chapter in my life was literally turning the page. And that is how I got into publishing.
It's amazing how we all got into this situation because of a void that we were trying to fill in the industry as melanated people. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did not see a lot of, at that particular time,
there were some companies, but I also had seen some of the quality of what was put out. And so in this fast tech-paced tech age, it is very easy. 72 hours, you can have a book on Amazon. The quality of that book on Amazon matters, right? Is that book readable? Did anybody read it? And for example, there's an author that I like to read, and she was putting out these books, and she put out this one book, and all of them up to that book had been very well done. And this particular book just was not, I was like, did anybody edit this book? Did she just like put it out there? And I thought it was just me until I read the comments. And the comments were, did anybody edit this book? Did you give it to anybody to read? And so that was a clue for me to, make sure that we pass off our books to other people and to other eyes to help catch some of those things.
My first book was edited very well. The second one I thought I could do myself, right? Between friends and family. That just does not work. You need your book edited by a professional. You really, really do. So thank you very much, LD. We're going to go to the sisters next, the anthology. Nice to meet you. So we just want to talk about the fact that you were given the opportunity to be a writer and to be on a book, right? Now, Janice Kearney does an anthology once every other year, once a year. And she gave me the ability to be, it gives you something else to put on your resume also, that you're part of an anthology. So tell me why you decided to be a part of the anthology and how it developed.
Hello, everyone. It was actually, we're total amateurs. And our book called Where Colors Meet, A Tapestry in Black and White, has 26 authors. Gina and I. Hello. It was born really of a reaction and an inspiration. The reaction was to the killing of George Floyd. Right, Gina? You and I spoke on the phone?
Absolutely. And George Floyd brought memories to me because I'm one of 13. My parents had 11 children and they adopted 2 more. And raised them, they were babies. And so it was an inspiration to have that experience. And my brother, the youngest of the 11, decided that he wanted to write a book about his experience because he was the attorney for Emmett Till. And so that was the beginning of me saying it's necessary to start telling these personal stories because 7 of my siblings had Emmett Till's mother as their teacher.
And he also is, Lester Barclay, is the author of the foreword of our book.
Yes, he's a forward.
And so let me ask you this. Each person had a particular story they wrote about. Was it designated for something? Was it designated for death? Was it designated for life? Or did you just tell your different stories?
It's about social justice.
Social justice.
And racial equality and mutual respect. And we got together, first 2 of us and 4 of us, cross-racially, white and black, and we interviewed and each other.
We interviewed each other in this process.
About how the object was, how does race intersect with your life? And so,
And
Gina,
how did you publish your book?
Pardon me?
How did you publish your book?
Well, we realized after other women came in, we have now 56 members in CIS, we all had stories to tell. And Gina, you said, why don't we write our stories down?
Yes. Why don't we share our experiences with race?
Right. And so one of our members who's not here today, Karen Flaherty, had already had some experience submitting a story that she wrote to an anthology. And so she sort of spearheaded this. And we all submitted, many of us submitted our stories, a story of 2,000 to 5,000 words from our life, having to do with race and the impact of race on our lives.
Right.
The question is, how did you publish your book?
So on Amazon, I'm sorry, Donna, self-published on Amazon.
Okay.
But we did absolutely get an editor. We interviewed some editors.
We interviewed some editors, and then we had 2 rounds of editing where we would bring back the stories, read them again just to make sure they were authentic and they really stayed true to the theme, which was racial injustice. We wanted to show how race had impacted each of us, positively or negatively. After that, we collaborated and we got a designer to design our book.
From Argentina. You were speaking about other people in other places. You did it from Buenos Aires.
Yes.
And many of us have had experiences beyond the United States, so we can speak in a more global sense also.
And how many, there's 28 women, you said? 26 women came together to do this anthology. Give them a round of applause, everybody. And we're gonna wrap this up with Ms. Kearney to tell us when her new anthology year will be, 2025?
Yes.
Pass her down the mic, please.
Yes, I founded an organization called Read, Write, Share, Writers Weekend, and it is to help emerging writers get comfortable with writing, feeling comfortable with where they are, interacting with established writers. So we come together for a weekend and do workshops and speaking and sharing. And one of the things we wanted to do is to create an anthology, and we call it the Southern Writers Anthology, even though we've had writers from different places. Is Florida? Florida's considered Southern, isn't it?
As Southern as you get. You don't get much Southern in Florida.
So we've been very, very blessed. Donna was one of our anthologists from last year, and Stan is going to be one of our anthologists for 2025. And we're late this year getting our anthology out, but it should be out in the next month, which is what, March. We've had some health problems that has slowed us down, but I think you'll be very pleased with it, Stan. And we're excited that it's gonna come out in March.
So if you need a writing experience and you don't want to write a whole book, become part of an anthology. You still can put that on your resume as being a published author. You don't have to do the whole book to start your resume on your way to your gold star Amazon bestseller. That's what we want you to be, right? So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Ms. Bethune?
I want to sort of throw this out there because I'm in the hunt right now for, I'm working on an anthology.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for people who have a Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune story. Either you're old enough to have known her, you went to Bethune-Cookman and it changed your life, or you have a story in terms of how knowing about her has affected your life or a relative's life. So just hit me up if you have something or you know somebody.
Thank you very much. And gentlemen,